Murphy at Murtech.com with your daily news update. Okay, here we are on June the 4th in the year of our Lord 2026, and I've got some good information for you tonight. Let me go ahead and jump over here to my Murtech on Rumble channel. This is it. This is the video we're talking about tonight, episode 1938. It says upcoming, but as you know, you are actually watching it. So let's jump into this. Hi, Debbie BS. I'm glad you could join us. Let's slide down here and click the Show More button to expand out the description box. And we have information from Dan Bongino, Doug In Exile, X22 Report, and Wendy Bell Radio. But before we get into that, I do want to give some shout outs here to Real One 5928 just started following my channel. OK Woc 55 just started following my channel. Desh Wolf just started following my channel. RAC 52 just started following my channel. Mary 1234 just started following my channel. Tom Years 89 just started following my channel. SW Put just started following my channel. Tom Vero 1 just started following my channel. Q Team Rocks 47 just started following me. Alice Wonderland 8 just started following my channel. SMB 1126 just started following my channel. Kathy Snyder, there we go, just started following my channel. S. Nolan just started following my channel. Very Curious George, gave me a comment. All right, well, I don't know why that's up there. Kind of screwed up on that. Billy P0220 just started following my channel. And 9887UU just started following my channel. Whoa. And K Para just started following my channel. So thank you very much, folks, for following my channel. I greatly appreciate that. I hope you tuned in, and I hope you enjoy the content. Okay, Debbie BS reposted my episode 1937, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 719C, and Debbie BS commented on my extra 720A, 720B, and 720C. So thank you very much, Debbie BS. You definitely kept my channel going and alive. Let me give this a thumbs up. Okay, let's get into this. Dan Bongino, Rubio Shines, episode 2529. Let's see what he has to say.
And the fact that most of our states have a, have a kind of a tinge to it, like a red tinge. Even I wouldn't call Florida like a blood red state, but it's pretty red at this point. Ohio's trending in that direction. But the Democrat Party in those states is still pretty powerful and shouldn't be ignored. Folks, what's happening now is these blue states, because the Democrat Party, here's why this is happening. This country's splitting and the schism like we've never seen it before. Like, people have always moved to red states. Here's why it's different. There is no effort whatsoever to moderate the insanity in freaking crazy blue states like California, New York, and Illinois to stop the exodus. There's none. Matter of fact, they're doubling down on crazy. People are leaving. U-Hauls are full. They know they're leaving. Put up the montage, guys, that these guys put together. Here's just a series of stories. If you're listening on Apple and Spotify, you get the point. Exodus out of California, exodus out of New York, New York losing congressional seats, LA leading the nation in the exodus, California's population plummets. There is no effort to stop this. I cannot imagine a business running a huge corporation like Corporation California, losing customers and employees like California is, and just completely giving a double-barrel middle finger to the shareholders, the taxpayers, and saying, we don't care about the problem. Folks, this is going to have long-lasting ramifications. And I don't mean that in a bad way. You have never really had pure laboratory A/B experiments like you're going to have going forward as this exodus continues. Here's what I'm talking about. There's this article in the Wall Street Journal the other day. You are going to see corporations en masse leaving blue states, folks. They are more mobile now. Their ability to get out is different. Their ability to communicate with customers is not just parochial. They have all kinds of social media platforms, email, digital technologies where they can communicate with customers. They can locate anywhere. And now that shareholders are starting to see the effect of companies and people leaving blue states and going to red states, you're going to see even liberal shareholders of public companies start to demand that these companies relocate. Put up that Wall Street Journal article if you would. Here, this was a piece in the Wall Street Journal. This isn't what reminded me to talk about this morning. Another story did. But it's a perfect story about this. Wall Street Journal, the Exxon example for corporations. What they're talking about is Exxon is leaving New Jersey and going to Texas. And by the way, New York and New Jersey did this PR smear campaign against Exxon. Oh, they can't leave. Here's what they're trying to do, all this other crap. And it still didn't work. They still said, we don't want to be in blue state New Jersey anymore. We're going to Texas. You are going to see this in mass. You're going to have nothing left. This grand laboratory experiment, I promise you, blue state residents, is going to end poorly for you. Listen to Brother Dan, as a former resident and a refugee from New York and Maryland, now in the great state of Florida. I promise you, this is not going to end well for you. Oh, that's just one example. It is not. You see Elon Musk pulling his companies and moving them into red states. Here's a small company you may have heard of. You guys ever heard of this small electronics company called Samsung? I'm being sarcastic, obviously. Samsung ditches New Jersey for Texas. I thought that was Exxon. No, Samsung too. New York Post, costing the Garden State 1,000 jobs. Now, what was the story that reminded me of this? Why residents and corporations are evacuating these states because of public safety. They want their employees to be in a safe place because of the tax environment. They want a pro-growth environment. They are leaving these states because these blue state governors are insane. There's legislation. I heard this when I was driving in this morning in New York right now, headed over to the governor, apparently, that they want to change the words man and woman to on these birth documents to gestating and non-gestating. Folks, I don't even understand this shit. It's so crazy. Dems replace mother with gestating parent in latest woke rewrite of New York law. Listen, Justin's laughing because his story is so freaking insane, but I'm just trying to get through to you. Like, if you think the woke DEI, quote, revolution is over, you're crazy. It's not. I don't know how, I can't use any stronger words telling these blue state residents that are married to the Mamdani Sanders AOC, Pritzker, Newsom, Hochul model of governing. You are going to lose and lose badly. My only caveat emptor, buyer beware here to the audience is please do not bring your liberal shit to red states. Please stay out. It's a free country. I can't force you to do it, nor would I want to. I don't believe in the unnecessary use of government force for economic means, okay? Obviously. However, I'm asking you as a not friend, please don't come here. We really don't want you. I'm not joking. Oh, but I have money and it doesn't matter. You're just going to destroy our state and cost other people jobs. We don't want you here. I don't care if you're a liberal billionaire. If you just, stay out. Just stay out. Like, the people, we don't want you here. I've contemplated many times, speaking to Governor DeSantis, about putting Justin at the northern border for border control, checking driver's license. New York, wait, what kind of we can't do it. Just stay out of red states. Let the experiment. Conservatives, you're welcome. We'd love to have you. Let the experiment play out and watch liberals basically beg for political mercy later. There is no way they can survive in this environment. None. Their party's lost. I said on Laura Ingram's show last night, there's no one coming to save them. There is not going to be any kind of moderating influence. In the 1980s, when they got their asses kicked in 3 presidential elections, I was a young man at the time, a young kid. Reagan won in a landslide. George H.W. Bush wins in a huge landslide too. The Democrats were finished, folks. They were wiped out. They had gotten their asses kicked. They started this thing, look it up, the Democrat Leadership Council, DLC. It's a very famous story. The premise of the Democrat Leadership Council was to bring the party back to the center because they knew they had a problem. I only bring that up because there's no DLC coming. The Democrats are married to crazy, and they are going to take you down with them. If you're not doing your homework and you're voting for these lunatics, I'm telling you, you're burning your own cities to the ground. Folks, they can't possibly sustain this radicalism. I want to put some meat on the bone for you here. Here was a Fox video yesterday. If this doesn't describe this crazy, insane Nazi tattoo, terrorist sympathizer, open borders, we love illegal immigration, defund the police, eat the rich, bullshit radical agenda. This Fox clip should. There's this hearing up on Capitol Hill, and there's a liberal member of Congress, Adelia Ramirez, talking about, immigrants are not criminals. And I said, well, if you broke the law, then you're by default a criminal. If you entered the country illegally, you are a criminal. That's just a fact. Whoever at Fox did this deserves like an Academy Award. As she's talking about, how great illegal immigration is and all this stuff, there's a split screen of all the riots going on at the ICE facility in New Jersey. It doesn't even matter what she says. It's more the imagery, snapshots and sound bites. Check this out.
You know Congress's role. You understand that there are rules and standards that you're required to follow. You've been saying this in the last 45 minutes we've been here. And still, you're disregarding what we know, which is that you're doing the same thing that your president and Miller want you to do, which is spew this garbage that makes immigrants criminals and that creates the standards and conditions for even children in detention to be living in inhumane conditions. You know what I call that? I call that being a tool.
Fox, whoever did that, Justin, can we nominate them? Are you on the board of the Academy? You are not. He's petitioned many times. You are a community notes guy, though, right? You try to. Okay. That you deserve an Academy Award or an Emmy or whatever it is. I don't know how these award show work. Fantastic. By the way, our good friend Vince just texted me. He says, quote, if the states are still laboratories of democracy, this is good. I shouldn't have said it was Vince. I should have just stolen it. But I don't have the heart to do that. If our states are laboratories of democracy, California is our Wuhan Institute of Virology. Well said, Vince Colonnese, the king of morning podcasting at 8 a.m. Folks, they can't sustain this radicalism. As you see this exodus, it's going to be impossible, hear me out, to blame Republicans anymore. As the Republicans evacuate your blue states, put up the montage again, please. It's happening. It's not like, this isn't like the nothing is happening joke. It's happening. People are leaving. You can count people as they leave. When they leave, sell their home and take their business, it's gone. There's no way to hide it. People are leaving blue states. They're not leaving red states. You have nothing to base this on. Do not flee. Man, we haven't played that one in a long time. You ever Braveheart? Stop, man. Do not flee. That's Kathy Hochul at the border and Gavin Newsom. It's not happening. They're leaving. They're not listening to you. They're not. It's like they fled that battlefield in Braveheart. They're not listening. You are not going to be able to tell people anymore that this radical open borders, defund the police, taxes are great, we love government red tape, men are gestating, non-gestating parent, whatever the stupid shit's about. You're not going to be able to tell them that this is working because it's not working. If it was working, people would stay. Folks, and by the way, all they stand for is the acquisition of power, the Democrats. I want to be clear on this. If you think immigration and illegal immigration has anything to do with the Democrat talking point, oh, we're just being compassionate to people seeking a better life. They don't, listen to me, to immigrants here illegally, legally, however you got here, you should have come here legally. However, this is for everyone listening to the show. The Democrats do not care about you. They only care about getting you on voter rolls to have you vote Democrat. If you were to come in illegally and sign a skywriting pledge that you were going to vote Republican, the Democrats would be for sealing off the border with an alligator moat tomorrow. They don't care about you at all. At least the Republicans are honest. We'll welcome you here. Just come legally and not illegally. It's pretty simple. I want to show you how these people are totally full of shit. Hat tip, David, is it Kite? I'm Khait. This is a great interview. He does when he's man on the streets with this rep, Tim Kennedy. I want to set this up. Is a great man on the street interview. He's asking about like, hey man, like, why can't the cities just cooperate with the federal government? Like if there's a hold, an immigration hold, because a guy who was arrested in New York, for example, was wanted by ICE and has a detainer and a hold because he committed a crime prior. Why wouldn't you just turn the guy over to ICE? Like, what's the problem? Watch Kennedy make the argument that, these cities should be able to do what they want. It's all like kind of local control. Listen to this, and I'm going to show you how they take the exact opposite position when it came to another issue. Check this out.
Why shouldn't the city do the same thing that you want the federal government to do?
Because the cities have different rules and laws as far
My
as
city has a different rule and law than New York City, right? Go ahead.
So you're suggesting that cities ought to be doing immigration? That is not
No.
cities ought to be doing.
I want cities to talk to the federal government in the case when they have an illegal immigrant in custody that doesn't belong in this country that has committed a crime. Instead of releasing them into the public, I want them to notify a federal agency about it. It's common sense policy.
Very good man on the street interview, because we're going to use reason here, okay, libs? So stop clawing at your face, pissing in your diapers and everything. Put the double smoke a latte, whatever the hell you drink down. We drink blackout coffee. Stop, man. Do not flee. Stop for a second. Do not flee. Do not flee. Just listen. Hear Dan Halford, even though you hate my guts. Liberals watching, I get it. So just to be clear, this guy representing New York, his premise is that locals should be able to control their own local immigration policy. That's what the Democrat policy, right? But it wasn't when it came to Arizona. Do you guys remember SB 1070 in Arizona when Arizona said, okay, we want to control, have a bit of control over who's in our state of Arizona. So we're going to cooperate with the federal government by SB 1070. It's crazy. The liberals' position then was, no, you're not allowed to do that. There's no local control. So what the is it? Put up that article, AZPM. Here, I just looked this up yesterday. Go look it up. The liberals made the exact opposite argument. No local control for Arizona. None. Zero. AZPM, it's PBS NPR. Show me your papers. A decade after SB 1070, that was the Senate bill in Arizona. They don't care about you. They're totally full of shit. They don't care about immigration policy, local control. They care about nothing. They think illegals will vote for them and replace the people, this is why I'm talking about this now, that are leaving blue states so that they can maintain a consistent population and a number of members of the House of Representatives and their electoral college votes. That's all they care about. I promise you, if there was some kind of illicit pact between illegals to vote Republican, MAGA, and libertarian or conservative, the Democrats would engage in the biggest mass deportation operation you've ever seen in your life. They don't care about you. Local control matters. Okay, Arizona, we're going to engage in local control. We're going to sue. They don't give a shit. These people are full of it.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause this here and move on. But he's absolutely right. But the thing about it is, they keep allowing these people into their states and providing them with housing, providing them with health care, education, monthly allowance, food stamps, a phone. Where's the money coming from when all these corporations are leaving? Because they have to tax them, because they need to get the money from someplace to give away to these illegal aliens for their votes. It's amazing. Oh, let me click on the Rumble link here. Just keep voting Democrat, though, folks. Just keep voting Democrat. Okay. This video does come from Dan Bongino Show. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here. And WBS M41 Coco has joined us in the chat. Okay, let's see what Doug in Exile has to say. about California flips against Democrat tyrants. Okay, let's check this out.
Okay, first we're going to go to, this is what Steve Hilton posted of his big acceptance speech last night. So I've been trying. But we all know that this state has gone off track and we need to get it back on track. And I've seen the struggle that Californians are facing today. That is the word, and it's a very sad thing to say about our beautiful state. And I've been on the road and doing hundreds of events and the town halls and all the people that come, and I see it in your eyes, the struggle of running a small business, the struggle for working people in California. Young people don't see their future in California anymore. They think that they have to move to another state to have that dream. This is true.
So, is this guy British or Australian? Or is it just me? It sounds like he has some sort of an accent. So, I mean, that's great. It's just kind of rare for a Briton or Australian to be conservative. But, okay, let's continue and see what Doug has to say.
My wife and I just came back. Hilton posted of his big acceptance speech last night.
So I've been traveling this state for the last year. We started off a scrappy little startup, just a handful of rebels, believing that this state could be better than it is today. We're already the best place in the world, no question about that. There's nowhere better than California. But we all know that this state has gone off track and we need to get it back on track. And I've seen the struggle that Californians are facing today. That is the word, and it's a very sad thing to say about our beautiful state. And I've been on the road and doing hundreds of events and the town halls and all the people that come, and I see it in your eyes, the struggle of running a small business, the struggle for working people in California. Young people who don't see their future in California anymore, who think that they have to move to another state to have that dream.
This is true. My wife and I just came back from California yesterday. It really is the most beautiful state. It's my favorite place in the world. We had a great time there. But the idea that I could go there and have my family and have my kids there, we had 4 kids. We moved here to Tennessee. The amount of square footage it would take to house 4 kids and raise them there, and the cost would be so prohibitive. I don't know how you start a business there. I only know this much. The reason why the food is so good in California is because if your food was no good, you'd be out of business. You have to make killer product to make it in a hostile work environment. And that's what California's become. That's what Steve is going to turn around here. We're going to get to more of this in just a minute. I wanted to tell you guys about our sponsor, Chapter. Many of you are coverage complicated, and some of you do is make 9/6 calls a little more of Hilton running for governor to take the place of evil Gavin Newsom in California. And he really could, from the top down, turn this state around. Here he is on Fox News.
And in the governor's race, the AP is reporting 58% of the vote is in, and a Republican is in the lead in California. Former Fox News host and Trump-endorsed Steve Hilton has 1.38 million votes. Just behind him is President Biden's former HHS Secretary, Democrat Javier Becerra, with 1.26 million votes.
I'm very confident. I've always been confident, by the way, that once it's a straight choice in the general election between myself and another Democrat, that we will win because the argument for change is irresistible.
While I take nothing for granted, there are lots of ballots left to be counted. It appears that we are on track to advance to November.
And in third place in the governor's race is Democrat Tom Steyer. There are still tens of thousands of votes to be tallied. We will keep you updated here.
Tom Steyer, who spent something like $250 million of his own money personally, he's a billionaire, just basically bought his way into the campaign. And Democrats are so terrible, they vote for him. That's who all the elites voted for, was this. And his signs are everywhere. We just came back from California and saw them in every neighborhood. He littered California with his signs. Now, Spencer Pratt is the guy that's running for Karen Bass's mayorship. It looks like they're going to be in some kind of a runoff, but he's just thankful that people actually voted. Here's his message late last night showing his gratitude and humility.
Yeah, thank you. My message to those people that didn't vote for me, thank you for voting. I'm excited that everyone voted today. One thing I've learned is a lot of people don't vote. My goal by November, whether it's you're voting for me or you're voting for Mayor Bass, I'm going to get more people to vote. We don't have a city that votes and cares enough about our city. Giving up to sit there and see the people who didn't vote for me, thank you for voting and caring about your city. I hope to switch you and show you you're going to be voting for me in November. But we need only 4 million people to vote in November.
It would be all of 4 million votes. I like his attitude. The kind of, nothing changes. We see that all the time, guys. There's no place for despair, especially when you can vote. It's the one time you actually can do the most is to go vote. So now they're already calling out shenanigans in LA, but all sides are, because how long it takes to count the votes. So Hilton could get screwed out of this whole thing still. Watch this from NBC News last night.
We do have some of that. As we said, some of that early vote is now in Los Angeles. This looks like it did with that vote by mail. It doesn't look like that gap between Becerra and Steyer has changed much here. And this is where Becerra represented. So there'd have to be either some change with that polling place vote, or it's just going to have to be such a flood of Democratic ballots coming in after, being tabulated after election night or into the wee hours this morning that would just lift both Democrats over Hilton. That's increasingly what it needs to.
Why does he automatically know that if votes are counted after the election from mail-in ballots that they're all going to go Democrat? How would he automatically know that, my people? Are the Democrats, I don't want to propose anything, but it just seems kind of like they are not quite done printing their votes. The problem is the branding for California. The Democrats, all they can run on is poop on the streets and needles on the sidewalks, unable to rebuild after burning the place down. That's kind of a branding problem when you're trying to get votes.
It has not been very successful at the state level in quite some time. What do you think that the party needs to do in order to compete with Democrats in such a deep blue state?
Lindsay, I think the messaging is very key and simple. We just have to tell the truth. And this is exactly why you're seeing Spencer Pratt surge. He took a page out of President Trump's playbook. And I think the biggest issue Democrats are missing today is they continue to say MAGA, meaning every Republican, and that's their number one failure. MAGA, Make America Great Again, is about everybody. Independents, blue collar, Hispanics, young men, the middle class, the working class, the people that Democrats failed to show up for. And California is the prime gold star example of what happens. We keep hearing about California values. I'd love to know what those values are. Is it more homelessness? Is it more naked people running in the streets? Is it more crime? Is it more overdoses? And parks infiltrated with individuals that don't belong there as families are just trying to enjoy their Sunday afternoons.
I saw these homeless people when we ran the marathon on Sunday. Thank you very much. In San Diego, homeless, obvious drug addicts, talking to themselves with the shakes. It was terrible. It's very heartbreaking to see. These are people made in the image of God, these homeless people. They need help and they're not getting it. They're getting worse under the current leadership in California. I love this one here. When the news reaches out to the people and asks them why they're voting Republican for mayor.
What is it about Spencer Pratt that you just is resonating with you?
Because he's speaking out against communism and socialism, and it is a real big problem in our cities, especially in LA where it's turned to crap. It's not an accident. They're doing it by design. Karen Bass wants to destroy our city, and it's nice to see someone like Spencer Pratt.
I can simplify it because those buzzwords are like they melt the brains of like left leaning people. So let's just say it this way: he doesn't want human feces to be a part of your life.
Yeah.
He doesn't want homeless children outside.
Totally.
Thank
you.
Outside. Oh, you didn't like that. She ran away. He doesn't want homeless people outside of the elementary schools having sex. Can I get a shout out real quick?
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. We talked a lot about the homelessness. Thank you. All right. I'm going to listen.
I don't appreciate you, ma'am.
I don't appreciate you, man. You got to cut off the people. The people know all too well, and they tried giving the mainstream media the news. The news cuts them off, going like, okay, enough of that. We get it. Goodbye, everybody. Here's some of the numbers from Bill Mitchell over on Twitter. He posted the latest here. Steve Hilton is performing much better in traditional Democrat strongholds than expected. This means that fed up Democrats are voting for Hilton. Remember, Hilton's got the double poison on his brand. To Democrats, he is endorsed by Trump. Hilton running for governor. And he used to be a Fox News host. That's like box office poison. And his numbers are showing that he's actually doing pretty well. Let me get out of the way here. He had 1.3 million votes last night to 1.2 million in second place to that Becerra. And, this is going to be 5 more months. This is going to be a long campaign, guys. It's not done yet. So here's some more numbers from M.A. Rothman. I got these. This is Trump endorsed Steve Hilton. Leads the California governor primary in deep blue state. Now, a lot of stuff can still change, but if you look at all of you can see the blue on the coast here. These are all the millionaires. This is where we were staying down here in San Diego. All this down here was all like Del Mar, La Jolla, and then as soon as you go into the heart, this is where I was raised, right below Sacramento here in Bonaire, California, and Turlock. This is farming country. 100% Hilton. Even outperforming Sheriff Bianco, down all in here. Even Hispanics are coming to Hilton, which is a huge vote in California. And finally, the last kind of check-in, Hilton gets more votes in Orange County than Becerra and Steyer combined. This is massive. Orange County is another huge financial center in California, and it does tend to run conservative. This is where John Wayne and Ronald Reagan came from. So I'll keep you guys posted on this. I'm just giving you the news is that Republicans are performing better than we thought. That doesn't mean that we win the day, but if they can make it to these runoffs, then we have a fighting chance in November. What do you guys think? Do they have a shot in California? Will the mail-in ballots just completely bury Steve Hilton? I'm Doug. In
All right,
Exile.
there we are,
Culture.
folks. And I mentioned this the other day that they'll be counting until July, maybe even August. So who knows who's going to be in the final November election. It's amazing how they can get by with this shit. All right, as you can see here, this video does come from Doug in Exile. This is the video I shared with you. I am subscribed to his channel on YouTube. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. Alrighty, let's jump back here. And thanks for giving me the heads up. No sound on Doug. Thanks for giving me the heads up. I don't know why that there was no sound on Doug. But I refreshed my screen and there we go. I have to open my box again. Alright, X22 report is financial information on episode 3919, Biden's economy is what is causing the pain. Trump's new economic system is curing it. Let's take a look at that and see what that's all about.
For making investment decisions. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the private West Central Bank, the World Economic Forum, you can see when Biden and Obama were in office, their plan was to bring down the economic system. And we know that this was their plan because back in 2020, they announced that this is the perfect time for the Great Reset. And they were pushing the Green New Scam. Why were they doing this? Because their plan was to bring us into a brand new system. Their plan was to bring us into a system which there would be the Green New Scam and the central bank digital currency. So everything was prepped to bring down the system that we have today. Everything was prepped to destroy the economy that we're in today. So they started to move in that direction. Now, when they began to do this, what happened? Well, they took an economy that was pretty darn good. And think about what Trump did. He played in a central bank illusionary economy in his first term, brought inflation down very, very low, forced the Fed actually to bring the rates down, and he created jobs and fuel prices came way, way down. People were very, very happy during this period of time. Now, think about this. Did he do this on purpose? Absolutely. Because he knew eventually the deep state players were going to cheat in the elections. And when Obama and Biden came in, Obama was in the background pushing the entire plan, and Biden was just following suit, or maybe those people around him. And what they did is they moved very, very quickly in destroying the economic system. At some point, they moved a little too quick because, again, what did we see? We saw inflation skyrocket. We saw fuel prices skyrocket. Yes, this was moving their entire plan forward into convincing people that we needed to get away from oil and move into electric vehicles. That was part of the plan. But the inflation was hurting the people. Now, did it hurt the people right off the bat? No, it took some time because it doesn't happen overnight. So their entire plan was to destroy the economic system. And this is what you were witnessing during this period of time. Now, to mask what they were doing and to tamper down a little bit, they needed to use the strategic petroleum reserves to bring fuel prices down a little bit so people, wouldn't say, hey, look, why is gas at $9 or $10 a gallon? So they had to do this to minimize what was going on. But the entire mission was to bring the economic system to its knees. Now, when the central bank does this, and they were definitely involved in this, they don't want you to see that they're the ones who are doing it. So they stay behind the curtains. They are all in on what they're doing because this was their plan. And everything was set up for that. So when Trump won the election in 2024, he inherited this system that was supposed to be destroyed. Now, Biden knew this. This is why he came out saying, I'm handing Trump an incredible economy, a very strong economy. He knows, and the Fed knew, Obama knew, they all knew the economy sucked. And they knew it was just a matter of time before inflation finally hit and people felt the effects of the inflation. And that is what people are feeling right now. They're still feeling the cumulative inflation that was created by Biden. And actually, if you look at the economy, it is much, much better than the Biden/Obama/Fed economy. Clay Travis put this out and said, in June of 2022, gas prices averaged over $5 a gallon. Inflation was 9.1%. The murder rate was 6.3 per 100,000, and the S&P 500 was $3,675. 4 years later, gas is cheaper. Inflation is roughly 3%. The murder rate is 4 per 100,000. The S&P 500 is 7,600, more than double 4 years ago. If I predicted stock market would double, murders would fall by 50%, inflation would fall by 2/3, and gas would be cheaper by 71 cents a gallon by June of 2026, you all would have called me crazy. Things aren't just better than Biden's June of 2022. They're light years better, and that is absolutely true. But think about what is happening right now. Trump now is not just making the economic system within the central bank illusionary economy better. He's actually taking the entire system and actually curing it. That is what he's doing. And what's very interesting, you could see just by the credit card holders and how much debt they're in, you can see this goes back to when Biden was in office. The Gobesia letter on X put this out and said, U.S. consumers are carrying more credit card debt than ever. Last year, 21.3% of U.S. credit card holders had over 10,000 in debt, the highest in at least 7 years. This percentage has risen for 4 consecutive years from 15.3% in 2021. By income, 25% of higher income households had over 10,000 in credit card debt in 2025, the highest among all income groups. This was followed by middle income and lower income households at 20% and 17%. Meanwhile, total U.S. credit card debt stands at $1.25 trillion, near all-time high, surging $360 billion since 2020. Consumers are increasingly relying on debt to keep up with rising prices. Now, you have to remember, we're in a debt-based system. When you look at the Federal Reserve and you look how it was created and how it works, we borrow the money. We have to repay that money. It's a debt-based system. So let's go back to when Trump came into office. And when you look at the share of credit card holders with credit card debt more than 10,000, back then it was around 17% or so. When Trump came into office, all of a sudden, credit card debt went down. In 2021, it was the lowest, around 15 or 16%. Now, this is when Biden came into office. And when Biden / Obama / the Fed, when he came into office, all of a sudden it went from that 15 to 16% up to 17%, up to 20%, up to 21%, up to 22%. So again, Biden, the Fed, they're the cause of the problem. And basically, this was what was handed off to President Trump. Now, President Trump is not here just to take that and bring that number back down to 15, 16%. He's here to basically restructure the entire economic system. And to do that, you need to transition it from one system to another. Remember, we don't want to play within the central bank illusionary economy. We don't want to borrow and be in debt the rest of our lives. We don't want the value of the currency to continually devalue over time to make you work harder and harder and harder. We don't want all of those things. There's no reason for it. We don't need the government to be in 36, 38, 39 trillion dollars of debt where all the interest and all the money goes to pay for that. We don't need that. What would be the purpose in keeping this system? What would be the purpose in allowing this system to survive? Because again, what do you think is going to happen? Remember, this is the third private West central bank system in this country. They've been around for thousands of years. Why would we want to stay in the central bank illusionary economy? We wouldn't. So how do you get out of it? How do you remove the Federal Reserve? How do you create a new system to compete with the Federal Reserve? That is what Trump is doing. And it's not something you just push a button and say, hey, we're out of it. Everyone feel good now? Remember, they created this system. Everyone is in deep in this system. The world is in deep in this system. And the only way to do it is to create an alternative system to compete with the private West central bank system. Because if you're going to fund the government, how are you going to do it? You either do it through income tax and you borrow the money and you have the income tax pay for the interest on that money, or you bring money in from the outside. Let me ask you something. If you can go back in time and buy oil before the world relied on it, would you? Of course you would. Anyone would. So why aren't you buying commercial here? We'll say the future depends on. And remember, past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals involves risk. Consult your financial advisor before making investment decisions. Where the people are not responsible in funding the debt load. So that is what Trump is doing. And you just can't create that overnight. There's going to be deep state players, the central bankers, that are going to fight you every step of the way. But you can see what Trump is doing right now. Slowly but surely, he's bringing his system online. He's curing the central bank system. And it just can't be done in a split second. But when you look at manufacturing, when you look at employment, when you look at all this, you could see that things are now starting to turn around. It's almost like a gigantic oil tanker. Well, the gigantic oil tanker, it can make the turn, but it can't do it in a split second. It takes time to turn a ship of that size. Now, think about the U.S. economy. Think about the central bank system where they've had their tentacles in almost everything. You just can't transition the entire system just like that. It's going to take some time. You need to build the infrastructure to move us out of the old system and into the new system. And what do you do to build the infrastructure? Well, you got to do everything opposite of what the central bank has done. If they removed and pushed manufacturing out of this country, you got to bring it back. If they centralized oil and the pricing of oil, you got to decentralize the oil. If they took us off the gold standard and they put us on the petrodollar system, you need a mechanism to bring it back, to put us on sound money, either with stablecoin or go back to the gold standard. If they controlled the gold market by keeping the gold prices suppressed and the silver prices suppressed by using the paper market, what do you have to do? You have to reverse all of that. If they implemented income tax on the people, what do you have to do? You have to build a new system that can support the government. And first, you got to reduce the government bloat, which they created. So this way, the new system, the income system, can pay for it. And you have to then start to remove the income tax from the people. Every step of the way, Trump has to build this new infrastructure to support the new system. That is what he's creating right now. And yes, he has to bring all the manufacturers back to this country. And that's what he's doing. Can this happen overnight? Can all of a sudden, can we just have manufacturers flood the country and we're ready to go in a month? No, it takes time to rebuild that infrastructure. Remember, they destroy the infrastructure over a long period of time. Now we have to rebuild it. It's much easier knocking down a building than actually building a building. Gopisi letter on X put this out and said the U.S. manufacturing sector recovery is accelerating. Chicago's PMI manufacturing index jumped 13.5 points in May to 62.7, the highest since March of 2022. This marked the largest monthly increase since the 2020 pandemic recovery and the second largest since the index inception in February 1967. This index has now been in expansion territory, above 50 points in 4 out of the last 5 months. New orders jumped to their highest level since January 2022, alongside a recovery in order backlogs and supplier deliveries. Meanwhile, prices paid surged to their highest level since May 2022, led by rising oil prices and transport fuel surcharges. U.S. manufacturing activity is gaining momentum. Absolutely. And what you're going to see over time is you're going to see the momentum accelerate, just like you're going to see the jobs accelerate. Because again, if more and more manufacturing plants are being built, that means more of these plants are going to manufacture, and that means they're going to need employees. So you're going to see all of a sudden unemployment go way, way down, and you're going to see a lot more job openings, which we're already starting to see. ADP just reported a stronger than expected rise in jobs added in May. ADP says 122,000 jobs were added in May, better than the 120,000 expected, and the biggest monthly addition since January of 2025. Hiring was more broad-based in May than we've seen in the last few years, and this is coming from the chief economist of ADP. The labor market continues to show sustained momentum going into the summer hiring season. So when you start to look at it, and you can see by businesses, small, medium-sized, large, small business, 1 to 19 employees, they're up 49,000. Employees, small businesses that have between 20 and 49 employees, up 18,000. Mid-size businesses that have employees between 50 and 249, up 10,000. Mid-sized businesses between 250 and 499, up 7,000. Large corporations, 500 plus, up 40,000. So we're starting to see everything start to change. And where are we seeing more jobs? Very interestingly, construction, we're up 8,000. Manufacturing, we're up 3,000. Trade, transportation, and utilities, up 36,000. Financial activities, up 7,000. Professional and business services, up 11,000. Education and health services, up 57,000. Leisure and hospitality, up 8,000. Other services, up 4,000. So we're starting to see a lot of construction jobs. We're starting to see a lot of manufacturing jobs. And I do believe that these two numbers are going to start to skyrocket. And yes, trade, transportation, yes, that's going to skyrocket, as we can see already. So we're going to see everything start to change, because once these manufacturing plants come online, what happens? you're going to see a lot more jobs in manufacturing. As more and more of the investments pour into this country to build the manufacturing plants, you're going to see a lot more construction jobs. So you're going to see these numbers start to skyrocket. And I wouldn't be surprised by this fall, these numbers are probably almost double or maybe even triple. But we'll have to see how that all plays out. But you have to remember what Trump is doing right now. He's basically curing what the central bank has done over a long period of time. They've created a disease in this country, and it affected every single person. I'm not talking about the elites. It affected every single hardworking American. And now Trump is reversing this. And think about what he's done already. He removed a lot of the illegals that were in this country. By removing the illegals and having a lot of them, millions of them, self-deport, it opened up jobs. Remember, when they were here, they were keeping wages down. With them gone, wages now can go back up. And think about what he's doing out in Iran. He needs to remove the control of energy, because once he does that, it's going to open up this country and it's going to be absolutely incredible. Think about Warsh in the Federal Reserve. He's going to be lowering interest rate. Now, you start to put all these things together, you could see how his new system is going to compete against the central bank system. Because again, once he has the economy where he wants it and he shows the people, look how strong it is. Look how robust we are. Look at the jobs that are being created. Look at the interest rates. They're very, very low. Look at energy. Wow, it's below $2, maybe even $1.50. Isn't that incredible? Everyone has a lot more money in their pocket. Look, we're weaning people off the income tax right now. And actually, with the income, with so much income coming into this country since we have manufacturing and now we're exporting, well, I can then give you a lot of the dividends, because a lot of the other countries that are exporting their products and we're importing them, I'm going to give you some of that money. So we're going to see everything now change, and we're going to see this country actually really take off. And we're going to see the automobile industry take off. We're going to see all different industries take off. And it's going to compete with everything the deep state players tried to do. And once the infrastructure is built and once it can go up against the central bank system, this is when Trump is going to make the move to move us from that system into the new system. Now, I do believe the last part of it is going back to sound money, showing the world that we do have the gold, showing the world that we have the gold and we're going to revalue the gold at the new price point. Now, once again, what that price point is going to be, we don't know right now. But again, if we remove the paper markets, the gold and silver market, I do believe it could be over 10,000, could be over 15,000. So once again, you can see Trump, he is now showing the world that this country is turning everything around. We're rebuilding everything. And eventually what's going to happen is once Trump starts to shift us away from the central bank system, he's going to have to bring in the gold aspect of it. We're already getting the stable coins. I think the Clarity Act will eventually pass. I think we're going to have that set and done right there. And actually, you have to remember, there's going to be interest on cryptocurrencies that's going to compete against the banking system. And once he shows that we have the gold, once he shows that the gold is worth a lot more, this is going to give him the additional leverage that he needs to then move us away from the central bank or restructure the central bank system into the Treasury. And he wants to do all of this by making sure that people don't lose their wealth, that the entire world economy doesn't fall apart. And think about the fund that he's now collecting, the cartel seizures, because again, I do believe that's going to assist in paying off the debt. We have gold is going to build confidence. We have stablecoin, which is going to back up the dollar during the transition. And we have the cartel money that's being seized right now. And add on top of that, all the other fraud that's being exposed, the rebellion that Trump is fighting, or the rebellion that's been happening in this country for a very long time. A lot of this debt that we're seeing today is going to completely and utterly disappear. And I do believe this is when we're going to enter the golden age, and people are going to feel and see everything completely different. Because again, if you don't pay income tax, you don't pay property tax, because a lot of these taxes are going to go away. Because again, we don't need them because we have the funding coming in from the tariff system. Now, there might be states that want to still tax, but what's going to happen is you're going to see states compete against each other. And you're going to see those states that don't have property tax, those states that have lower taxes, a lot more people are going to move to those states because why would you want to pay those taxes? Actually, you can see it out in California. It's what's happening out in California. They raise the taxes. People are paying high taxes. Companies are paying high taxes. What do? They say, you know what? We're out of here. Why should I pay all these high taxes? Why should I give you my hard-earned money? Because I'm working very hard. I should be able to keep a lot more of it. So, you know what? If I move to Texas or I move to Florida or any other state, I can keep a lot of it. It makes no sense. Plus, they have a lot of jobs there because a lot of companies are moving there. So I do believe we're going to see the entire structure that we have been living in completely and utterly change. And Trump is going to transition us from the old system into his new system. He's curing the disease. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared.
All right. Good information. I always like to hear what X22 report has to say on the financial side and the geopolitical side. But let's jump over here and show you that this video does come from X22 report. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's get back here and let's see what J.D. Rutgers at on Wendy Bell, what he has to say. The right at war with itself over Israel. Okay, well, let's check it out.
People have been reaching out to me asking where they can hear my show. You will be able to hear my show, not on the radio, but you will be able to hear my show on Rumble and various places. Starting next week, we are returning to the standardized airwaves, and we are going to be following the Wendy Bell radio program. So we will be right after Wendy Bell. As soon as her show is over, my show will start, and that's what we're going to do. I'm super excited because I used to do this all the time, nonstop. I had enough shows. There was at one point my longest stretch I was doing, and it was only for maybe a month and a half because I was just filling in. But my longest stretch, I was doing 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and then another two and a half. It was a little bit less structured, but I was doing it 7 days a week. I was doing 2.5 hours on the weekends on top of 6 hours a day, Monday through Friday. Today you got me for 3 hours. We're going to do 3 hours. No, we're not going to be doing 3 hours of just Israel. I know some of you are disappointed. I know most of you are breathing a sigh of relief. You're like, whoosh, we really thought that JD was going to talk about it for 3 hours. Nope, no, there's too much going on, number one. And number two, the premise behind the show, the whole reason that I wanted to do this show in the first place was because there's this so-called MAGA civil war, right? There's this, you got on one side, you got the people that are basically anti-Israel or against Israel. You got the people that are pro-Israel, and they are the loudest people in the room. My contention, and I don't think I'm wrong with this, my contention is that the vast majority of us are sort of in the middle, in the whole I don't really care zone. It's not that we don't care. It's like, oh, we don't care about Israel. We like them a little bit, or we don't like them a little bit, or whatever. It's more along the lines of, yeah, they're there. You can have your opinion about them, but we don't let whatever that opinion is drive everything. Okay? Which, again, the loudest people in the room, when you got Tucker Carlson versus Ben Shapiro, when you got Megyn Kelly versus Mark Levin, when you've got Thomas Massey versus Ted Cruz, when you've got, these different sides, they are so loud and they've got huge audiences, and they really focus everything on discussions, either pro-Israel or anti-Israel, whatever, and everything's Israel, Israel, Israel. The vast majority, and again, this is my contention, maybe I'm wrong, the vast majority of us, we might have our opinions about Israel, but we're more worried about gas prices. We're more worried about election fraud that's apparently happening in California, which I'll talk about here in a minute. We're more worried about how much, if any, jail time is John Bolton going to get. And it looks like it's probably going to be nil. He's going to pay a fine, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But more importantly, We're more worried about what our kids are doing, what our friends are doing, what our family is doing, what we're going to do next week, what we're going to eat for dinner tonight, what we're going to watch on Netflix. We're not, the vast majority, I believe, of Americans, especially conservatives, we're just not as into the whole Israel thing as everybody else is. So, yes, I have enough notes and enough knowledge about the topic to fill the aforementioned 6-hour show. And we used to do that, by the way, just to be clear. I was asking Brock before the show, I'm like, do you guys ever just do like one topic? It's like, yeah, not really. You know, we do a bunch of topics, which I love doing. I love bouncing around. Okay. I read so much that it's like, yeah, oh, you want to talk about that? I've got an opinion about that. Oh, you want to talk about that? I've got an opinion about that. And then if there's a topic that I don't know, I'll say it. I actually don't know much about that. Tell me more. When it comes to Israel, yeah, I could probably talk about again, not just the country, the nation of Israel. I'm talking about the entire divide, the thing that we're seeing, the discussion points, the debates, the arguments. Where are they coming from? Who's at fault? All that stuff. Yeah, I can talk about that. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to put you all through that, not for 3 hours. We're gonna devote some time to it today because that is the topic that I'm prepared for. But as with any day, it's always good to come in with backups. And praise God, today there's a bunch of backups. I mean, Brock was texting me at 2 a.m. He's like, "Hey, check this out. Check this out." I'm like, "I'm doing Israel today, Brock." And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, check this out. Check this out." I was like, all right. And then I looked. He's right. There's a lot of stuff going on today. I don't think that I should do an entire show on Israel. Just like tomorrow, I was planning on doing an entire show on UFOs. And considering again the nature of this show, the nature of the Wendy Bell audience, it's probably I probably take that back down a notch, and we'll do about an hour. We'll do about an hour on UFOs, and that's a topic. Think I could talk about Israel. I could talk about UFOs. We could call it just a straight up filibuster. Okay, just put me in the Senate. Okay, put me on the floor, and just say talk about UFOs, and I will, like, the entire Senate will eventually leave because I'll just be talking. It'll be like hour 54. I'll be wearing my adult diaper, and it'll be like, and that's all I got to say about that. And I'll look around, and it'll be empty because nobody wants to hear 54 hours of me talking about UFOs. But I will talk about it for about an hour tomorrow. What is the UFO phenomenon? What's happening? Should we be worried? Should we be excited? Should we go see the Steven Spielberg movie? Is it aliens? Is it demons? Is it extra dimensional creatures? Is it the US government? Is it the Chinese government? Is it the deep state? Are they coming from space? Are they coming from underwater? Are they really spaceships? Are they drones? Are they illusions? Oh my gosh, I could talk about again. For those who don't know, my background, my history with these shows is, I would say, about 60% politics with about 10 to 20% culture, and the rest of it, whatever that math comes out to, 20, 30%, the rest of it would be a combination of biblical, faith-driven talk and conspiracy theories. I love a good conspiracy theory. And I'm not talking about, oh, Earth is flat, or oh, they Paul McCartney died in the 60s in a car crash and was replaced by a doppelganger because they wanted the Beatles to continue to print money. And as it turned out, he was a better singer than Paul McCartney. I'm not into those types of conspiracy theories. I'm more, I don't know, more normal as we conspiracy theorists can get. So the longer talks, and just here, I'll give you guys a perfect example of when I say a longer talk. Way back when, before anybody had ever talked about the pandemic treaty. Do you guys remember that? Obviously it's still in effect, now in effect, and it was quietly pushed. But before anybody was talking about it, okay, I had a doctor on who alerted me to back in January January of, I forgot the year, was it 2023, 24? I don't know. Whatever year it was, he started talking. And he's like, I didn't even see this. I discovered this, and here's what it looks like. We talked about it for a little while, and then finally everybody started talking. I think that following March or April, and so I went and did a deep dive into the pandemic treaty, and I ended up doing an entire week on it. This was back in those days. I was doing 2-hour shows, so that was approximately 10 hours talking on one subject. We won't do that to the Wendy Bell Radio audience. You guys deserve a smorgasbord, a buffet line of talking points and discussions. And I'm good with that too. Look, I can talk for a long time about one topic. I can talk for 30-second bits, rapid fire, just boom, boom, boom. So that's what we're going to do. My name is JD Rucker. I'm guest host today and tomorrow, and I'm going to make the most of it. So stay tuned. We will be right back here on the Wendy Bell Radio
All right.
program.
You know, I think he does a pretty good job, but he's not Wendy, okay? I like Wendy. I think you people like Wendy too. He's putting out some pretty good information, but I can't wait till Wendy gets back next week, okay? Just say it. Just say it. Nothing against this guy.
Brock plus
Okay,
Say
here
the
we go.
Pledge of Allegiance. Y'all ready? I know you think I skipped it, but I put it on hold because you'll.
I'm running over here. I didn't realize I was enjoying the information so much, but I'm gonna hold this for my daily news wrap up. Let me go ahead and click on the Rumble link and show you that this video does come from Wendy Bell Radio. This is the video I shared with you. I've given him a thumbs up, given her a thumbs up, given the show a thumbs up. I hope you do the same thing for me. All right, let's jump back here and got a lot of good comments tonight. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I greatly appreciate that. I think it's mostly ladies, though, now that you mention it. Okay, let me put this in a comment so that the chats will be a permanent part of this video. And let me remind you that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that come directly from the producer. I have the links to the videos in the description box as well as the links to the producer's channel. So if you want to go over there and see more information right here. Okay. And let me jump over here and remind you that these videos that I've shared with you are videos that I've posted over here on Murtech.com, where I have over 40 no-nonsense, common sense, logic and truth videos. You know, the kind of information that you're not going to get on the mainstream media or from the Democrats or deep state rhinos. I'd like to share all of this information with you, but unfortunately I just don't have the time to do so, and that's why I've put together my Murtech Daily News Wrap-Up. Okay, where it says I have 20 videos in here, about 10 or 11 hours worth of great information. We're going to start off with Wendy Bell, right where I left off there in my podcast, and then jumped over to Dan Bongino, where I left off in his video. Then we got We the People News, X22 Report. Also, some information from the Steve Day Show, On the Fringe. It looks like I have 2 here from On the Fringe. Yeah, he put out 2 today. I'm not sure. He's got his three freaking ring circus on the fridge, and then he also did a Deep State Demise, episode 5, Hot Topics. We also have some information here from the Mel K Show and Barry Cunningham. Sorry. So, folks, don't miss this. But for right now, go ahead and take a break. Grab a cup of coffee and a donut, or a sandwich and a soft drink, or a beer, or a nice glass of wine and some cheese, and meet me back here in about 15 or 20 minutes. Give me a chance to get this set up in Rumble Studio, and we'll take off and get some more common sense, no nonsense, common sense, logic, and truth. But in the meantime, I do want to thank you for being here. Hopefully, I'll get to see you again later, and may God bless.